My name is Kelly Pavel, Technical Manager for Invino Engineering, LLC. I want to continue our discussion regarding understanding steam piping NPT connections and, of course, avoiding premature failures. This is part 3 of a 3-part series, or the final discussion. One of the things we need to be talking about is SOPs, or Standard Operating Procedures. The problem with NPT connections, SOPs really don't exist. So the installation people are going out there with verbal discussions, how to do it correctly. The thing with a verbal discussion, as you pass down, the information is not necessarily conveyed correctly. Therefore, before any steam and condensate modification or new installation, make sure you have a written SOP and provide it to the installers or the contractor doing the work. If a contractor is coming in to do the work, ask them for a written SOP that they're going to follow. Simple as that. As you can see the pictures into the left-hand side, these are not properly prepared for going into a steam system. It's going to leak. The thing is that's why we have to have a quality check. One of the things in a SOP, quality check. Make sure that these items are meeting our specification. Also, check the source where we purchased a unit or component. Make sure it's a reliable vendor or sourcing for our components. A typical summary, continuing, material test reports, MTRs. Ensure the thread is NPT standard, not some other international standards. Again, per our discussion, there's multiple standards out there. And the pipe machine, make sure it's properly maintained and also make it properly operated. And one of the things with the pipe machine before starting to make threads, make sure it's clean and prepared to make a good NPT connection. Threads. A thread gauge, check to make sure it's in compliance. So there's a number of different methods to check the threads. Thread plug, gauge. Make sure you have these readily available for the people that's installing the NPT connections. Understand the number of turns for engagement. And there's guidelines for that. Typically, 1.5 turns, typically for a small diameter pipe, the thread does engage. Sealant materials. Type of materials, application procedures, how to apply it correctly. Do not over-apply or don't under-apply. And one of the things is, what is the cure time? A high percentage of personnel do not know about the cure time, which leads to premature failures. Other things that need to be documented. Many thread sealing materials are available. There's lots of thread sealant materials available. And of course, everyone out there claims to have the best product. Remember one thing. The sealing material is a lubricant. The threads really do the engagement and the sealing, which we've talked about in previous discussions. Use the necessary steps to ensure the plant makes or buys a high quality thread or thread component to begin with. To spend a little extra money and ensuring to have a proper thread will save a lot of time and prevent premature failures. Some of the reasons for failure. Misalignment. The thing is, a thread should only take axial movement. it shouldn't be taking up anything but axial movement. If you have other than axial movement, then it's going to leak. The other thing is over-torquing or insufficient torque. The thing is that putting a pipe wrench onto an NPT connection in a 10-foot piece of conduit and trying to get the threads to seal, over-torquing will destroy the thread. The other thing is, after energizing the steam system is heated up. Make sure you go back and check for the proper torque. The other thing is the threaded connection must be able to withstand expansion and contraction. So review the expansion contraction to compensate during design or installation. Again, we want axial movement, and we do a number of things to take up the expansion or compensate for the expansion contraction, so we get axial movement only. And these things must be looked at when we're using connections. Corrosion. One of the things that we deal with in the steam and condensate system is corrosion. And the biggest corrosion, or the most talked about corrosion, is CO2 corrosion or carbonic acid, which is mostly prevalent in condensate system. However, we have oxygen corrosion in the system. And this is coming from the boiler plant operation. So thread failures or any connection failure or any type of failure, corrosion failure, then we need to look and determine the type of failure. Don't necessarily blame CO2 corrosion for the leak point. Understand the different corrosions. The thing is that the weakest part of the piping system is going to be the threaded connection because of the lost material. It doesn't have much resistance to CO2 corrosion. Therefore, number one leak in the system is always an NPT connection. So if you did a leakage study, NPT connections will probably be number one. Temperature limits on the materials. And the materials is the components you're putting in there. We have different schedules, 20, 40, 80. We have different tube materials, 0.035, 0.49, 0.065. So there's a multitude of materials in temperature limits. And that goes with the lubrication materials too. We want to use lubrication materials that are rated for the maximum pressure and temperature, not the operating pressure and temperature. So always look for the maximum operating pressure and temperature, and that's based on the steam safety valve. There's also another pipe taper thread, and that's the aeronautical national pipe taper thread, which is of a high quality. And a lot of plants look at using this thread in lieu of a standard NPT connection. Conclusion. Try to eliminate and reduce the number of NPT connections. Use other connection methods, as you see in the picture to the right hand side: flanges, welding, tube connectors, all much better benefits than using standard NPT connections. If you're going to use NPT, have an SOP for the plant personnel. Optimization. My question: what happens on Monday? So, we need to make changes. The only way we improve the system is through changes. Here's a little bit on our website, 70 best practices, 28 articles, 24 instruction videos. A little bit on our company. We do short-term, long-term engineering for steam and condensate systems, design, project management, and my contact information. If you have any questions or we can be of service, please contact us. Thank you. Have a great day.